Namaskar and a happy evening to one and all. It's my proud privilege to be moderating this webinar. To begin with, extend a warm welcome to the dignitaries for today's webinar, Shri Guruprasad, IRS and CIT CPC. We are also going to be joined by Shri Umashankar MV from Team Infosys and Shri Bopanna, also from Team Infosys. We also have with us our President, Shri Pramod Shri Hari, and Chairman of Representation Committee, C.A. Shri Siddesh Gaddi. Welcome, sirs. Let me begin with a brief introduction of Shri B. Guruprasad. He is a science graduate from National College, having graduated in the year 1995. He has cracked UPSC in the year 2002 and joined Indian Revenue Service. He is currently serving as CIT CPC OSD. Previously, Shri Guruprasad was on deputation to BESCOM as Director Finance. He has also served as Investigation, Transfer Pricing and Systems Directorate. He's also served in Grievances and Refund Financial Accounting System. Currently, Sir is in charge of Demand Management of CPC. The broad program structure for the day, we will begin our presentation we will begin the session with the department's presentation, and then we will move on to a question and answer session to address all the queries that the members may have with regards to demands and refunds under Income Tax Act. I request all the members to type in their queries in the Q&A box, which our team will collate and present it to the speakers towards the end of the session. Over to Shri Guruprasad sir.
Thank you, Deepak. And good afternoon to Mr. Siddesh, Mr. Pramod, and to all the other participants who have joined here. It gives us immense pleasure to have this interactive session. And today we are going to talk about demand management, or discuss about demand management, because I don't want to go for a lengthy presentation, because I know more questions needs to be answered, rather than because all of us know what is demand management. So in my presentation, I'll be focusing mainly on how we have tried to do this and what we are trying to do. And after that, we will try to take the questions, as many questions as possible, because the more we interact and more we try to understand from your point of view, and also you understand how we are coming about it, or what are the constraints which we face and you face, that is what will actually lead us to a better this one. Because one bottom line for all demand management is that it cannot happen unless until both of us work together. So you should also work with me, and I should also work with you, and officers, the AOs also should work with us. So it's a sort of a tripartite kind of an agreement which we need to enter. So here I am trying to address only the one wing of that agreement, the chartered accountant fraternity. So once you guys are on board, then within the department, somehow I can use whatever the influence, whatever the threat, coercion which we can manage, and we'll try to bring them also on board. So on that perspective, I just want to start my presentation for today.
Guruprasad.
Okay. And yeah, please.
If you permit me 2 minutes of time. I just want to introduce Guruprasad in the context in which this outreach program, which is so welcoming by the Income Tax Department, has been set. When we sent a representation to the CBDT members, I got a call from Guruprasad sir that you should have you probably can talk to CPC before going there, and this was so welcoming members that they themselves has volunteered to clear off lot of doubts, and I see this as an encouraging step from the Income Tax Department side that they have come forward. In that context, I thought I'll set the premise and then let you to move further, sir. This is not the only program, sir. We continue.
Thank you.
Programs from your side.
No, thank you, Pramod. No, I'm saying, see, because in fact, I want to understand from your, because when we launched this, it was something which a very novel program, which has not been attempted before by the Income Tax Department. And as such, what happened was we also anticipated and learned a lot of things which we didn't understand that can happen like that. So now this entire thing is because One good thing is, yes, you sent a letter, which was good thing. But at the same time, what I was thinking is that, okay, there are so many constraints from the other side. Without addressing those constraints, if I try to keep on doing what I'm doing, it is not going to help either of us much. So in that context, only I try to reach you so that we'll be able to set things right. And again, I'm born and brought up Bangalorean, so being here, if I can't reach out to the Karnataka fraternity, then I don't know what else we can. So on that basis, Madhyadal Salpa Kannada hogatte, paragilla, all of us know Kannada, right here? Okay, thank you. So let me start with the demand management presentation. I'm not going long, maybe around 8 to 9 slides. So after that, we'll open for the discussion session. See, demand management is a part of the CPC 2.0, which was launched in 2018. So as per the RFP, we are supposed, whoever gets the tender is supposed to start this demand facilitation management, where the sole objective of this project would be reduction of the demands. This reduction can happen either through correction or through collection or through any other means which is needed, which will come into picture. So basically, it was opened up as a one-stop thing where all demands needs to be reduced. How it has to be reduced, and before that, we have to know what is the reason for the demand. So in this context, demand management has been set up on an elaborate basis. So right now, I'll talk briefly about the structure of the organization which is there right now. After that, I will try to go through what are the things which we are using. Okay. So basically, this is the slide which we will have. Basically, scope and service operations, technology and transformations which we are using, readiness of where we are right now, what is the performance of the last 1.5 years. Though this has been active in 1.5 years, this has become more prominent in Karnataka because Karnataka was chosen by this pilot would be launched. So we have launched the pilot phase in June 2002 of June 2022 of this year only we have launched. And as of now, we have done reasonably well. So I'll come to that when we come on the performance part. So basically, the core objective of this entire demand facilitation project is to create an information technology system which will have a taxpayer facilitation outreach kind of a thing, where we reach out to the taxpayer, explain to him why his or her demand is there, and what is that which he is supposed to do to reduce that demand. See, one easy instance would be just if it is a question of a genuine demand and which requires payment. Yes, we will tell him that he has to make the payment and this is how he has to make the payment. But as most of us know that many of the demands are require correction or correction. So in this aspect, we also are equipped enough to handle all kind of corrections. And so that when we call the taxpayer, we tell him, okay, there is a tax credit mismatch in your case. There have been, you have not claimed the TDS correctly in the schedule, or you have not filled your TAN number correctly or a PAN correctly. So we would ask him or request him to come up with a rectification request. And the agent who is going to do it is also trained enough to guide or her on how to do this rectification. So we will, and again, if by chance, if there is a necessity of an intervention of the AO in case, like example, if the AO, if there is a rectification which has to be passed by the AO, or if there is an OGE which the AO has to pass, then the agent is empowered to call up the AO also and talk to the AO and again tell him or her that this is what he has to do to get this demand reduced. In this context, the the call center will act as the body which will bring all the stakeholders at one point and try to get the demand reduced. The entire purpose is resolution of the demands. So
Sorry
for this, the agent is,
Sorry to interrupt you, but I believe there's some
Hearing?
bandwidth issue at your end. Your audio is breaking off Turning off your video might help in better audio, sir.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the entire objective is basically to bring all stakeholders together and make each stakeholder to do what they are supposed to do so that that particular relevant demand gets reduced. So in this context, this was started. A call center has been started. A call center is around right now is staffed with 135 agents who are working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. And we have an inbound and outbound system. So the agent can call all the people, and at the same time, the taxpayer or the chartered accountants, if they wish to call the center, they can make an inbound call also. And we will do all kinds of resolution. It's a one stop. The only thing, the whole purpose or the core objective of this is that at no point the agent is supposed to answer to any of the taxpayer or the chartered accountant, please contact the AO. It does not happen. Here, the agent has to, the demand facilitation center has got the owners to resolve the demand. So it cannot pass on that to somebody else's job. So that has to be done by the demand facilitation center itself. So if it requires, it has to be, it needs an intervention of the AO, it has to call the AO. If it requires an escalation matrix, that also has been planned. So in all these aspects, we have to ensure that the demand facilitation center's only job is to ensure that the demand gets resolved. Beyond that, there is no other objective or no other thing or parameter on which the performance of the demand facilitation center will be measured. So that's the most important thing, and that's the only thing this demand facilitation center is supposed to do. And these are the numbers. We have a toll-free number and we have a regular inbound number also. And again, this center has been set up at Mysore, Infosys campus of the Mysore. Because Infosys has been the tender, who has been the partner for us in the CPC 2.0. So this center has been started in Mysore. So now what are the solutions which we are doing is, we have called a management tool. So we got into the BO portal. So in this case management tool is supposed to be driven by an artificial intelligence so that it will categorize the clients according to the propensity to pay or any other categories which we want. So if we want what they call categories of 1 lakh to 2 lakh kind of demand, or above 50 lakhs to 1 crore, or above 1 crore kind of a demand. So all these kinds of categories can be made by this case management tool. So it will give, it will take that categorization and feed it onto the agent's terminal, so that agent, when he calls up he or she calls up the taxpayer, the chartered accountant, will be better in a better position to explain to them in briefly what exactly is the problem and why is the demand resolved. So this will be about the case management tool. And now, see, before this, what has happened is, see, as it is, income tax is a very complicated issue and people don't understand much about the income tax. So if we suddenly tell them, if we call them and ask them, this is the thing, so they will also get confused and they may not be in a position to help us. So that is why we have conceived this plan called a pre-call template. So before I call anybody, 3 days before the call, I send an email to the taxpayer saying that my agent will be calling you on such a date around a particular range of time. At that time, we will call you. When we are calling you for the demands outstanding in your case. So we give all the list of all demands of that plan for all the assessment years. And we also would have told what are the probable causes for the raising of demands and what is the probable resolution also would have been given in that email. We would also inform the taxpayer through that email saying that what are the documents which he or she has to keep it ready when we call on that 3 days from that time. So this will go as a pre-call template. So for all calls which we make, this email will be a mandatory one, which will be sent by the facilitation manager from Mysore. Once this mail is sent, on the day when which we have indicated in the email, our agent will call, and that agent will inform the taxpayer about the demands which are there and why those demands have arisen and how to resolve. If it requires a rectification, the agent will also help the taxpayer to file the rectification, how to file, how to go about it, what is the path to be taken. So please log into our portal. This is how you have to go. Everything will be explained by the agent. And again, we make all through an automated dialer so that there is no this manual intervention. There is random assignment of these cases to the various agents. But once a case is assigned to a particular agent, that agent will be the one who will be following up on that particular case. So it will not go to some agent and he will or she will start new. It is not so. And also all calls are being ordered for our purposes and purposes also. And at the same time, whatever the conversation happens, in the text box, the agent is supposed to write out the major points of all the communication which has happened. So now if the taxpayer has said, I'm busy, you please call me after some other day. So then at that time, that will be mentioned in that comment box so that he will be able to make the follow-up call. Or the taxpayer says, I'm ready to pay the amount. So then for that, that also will be entered. And again, on that the previous 2 days prior to that day, he will be intimated that you have promised to pay this much amount. So this is a reminder call kind of a thing. So wherever or however we are able to make it convenient to the taxpayer so the demand can be resolved, we are trying to do. So we have basically integration with the CPC 1.0, CPC 2.0. So all the demand cases which are there across India will flow to us on a day-to-day basis, and we know what are all the demands which are pending for which PAN, and that can be monitored easily from us by the management tool. So we have basically another 2 emails which we want to send. One I already explained to you about recall. They have something called the day after the conversation, we'll send a mail saying that we talked to you on this issues. So this is what has happened. And finally, once the demand gets closed, the taxpayer saying that your demand for this PAN for this assessment year has been closed successfully. So we would want to indicate, be in communication with the taxpayer on a continuous basis. So we also have, we are running also things which are going to be coming forward in the demand management, where we are going to come with a SMS campaign also for you along with the email, and then this is something to us, the feedback to from case management and automation of some data inverting and analysis. So this is basically what is the performance of the demand management which was there. We started around August 21. We were supposed to go live in August 21 fully, but because of the secretary was at peak, we decided that it's not the right time to talk to taxpayers and demand for the demand or anything. So that is the reason why we didn't go for a big bang approach. So we started slowly. We also wanted to test the waters to know how we are doing, what we are doing. So from August 2022, this is all India figures what we have done. So we have resolved around 1,21,000 crores as of now, involving 59,851. And we had total calls which we made was around 1,62,900. Out of that, 72,377 calls answered. So the the major categories where we have resolved this is plan mismatch in 245 notice cases.
Sir, just to intervene, sir.
So in
sir, yeah, voice is little feeble from your side. Would you mind logging off and logging in again, sir?
Now also, is it fine now or is it feeble again?
It was feeble very frequently, sir.
No, I think I had reduced my volume without my knowledge.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Now it's fine?
Now this is fine, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So then again, in June, CBDT wanted us to launch it as a pilot, and Karnataka was chosen as a place where we would do the pilot of this thing. So here there was no categories. We wanted to test all kinds of demands which were there. So we had targeted demands over 1,000 crores for particular taxpayer and closely worked with the AOs for resolution. So cases which have been stuck from 2015 were resolved by our team in this pilot phase. And we have also identified all the unutilized work and worked with the CPC and AOs to offset with the open demand. So after all these things, this is the performance of from July 22 to August 22. We have almost reduced to an extent of 20,275 crores and involving 34,055 DNs. We have made around 1,61,000 calls, around 78,104 calls have been successful. And June, July, August, we have reduction in all kinds of demands. We have AST demands, CPC, ITBA, DCR demands, ITBA manual orders. All these demands have seen some sort of reduction in these 3 months. As on date, we have increased this 20,000 to almost 28,000 now in the last 1 month. So this is as far as the demand management slides are concerned. Now I would want to open up for the moderators to post their questions so that we'll be able to take it up and answer as elaborately as we can do so.
Thank you, sir. With your permission, I will stop your screen share and I'll do a screen share of my screen wherein we have collated the questions in an Excel sheet.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I believe the screen is now visible.
Yeah.
I'll read out the questions to you, sir, and it is also available on the screen.
No, okay.
What we've done is prior to the session, we had circulated a Google Doc link to all our members, and we have collated a bunch of queries from there. And from today's session, whatever members have put in the chat box to the fullest extent possible, we have collated that as well in this Excel sheet. I'll read out the questions one at a time, sir. So the first question is, there are some questions, there are some suggestions, there are some remarks from all the members. We have collated everything here at one place. So the first one reads, demand for old years as appearing on the IT portal should be backed by the order leading to such demand along with evidence of due process being followed. It will enable the SSC to take appropriate legal recourse. In many instances, even the assessing officer is not aware or is not in possession of the cause of demand, leaving the SSCs remediless. Unless the reason for old demand be provided by the department, the assessee cannot be expected to resolve the issue. I think so the matter pertains to the earlier years wherein the intimations were issued manually. Neither the SSC nor the department seem to have any track record of what is the basis, what is the source document for the demand that is appearing on the IT portal. So while all these demand mails are being sent out, along with either on the mail or on the portal, if the basis for the demand can also be made available to the SSC, then I think he'll be in a position to take his legal recourse.
No. The demand which you are talking about is something what we call as the DCR demand. So these are the demands which before prior to starting of CPC, we all used to, as you know, we used to maintain the demands on the blue book, the demand register, DNCR register. So after once the CPC was started in 2009, the AOs were asked to upload these demands to the system so that CPC can can get it integrated into its financial accounting system. So there may be instances when some of the demands may be a duplicate demand or some of this may be a old infructuous demand. But most of the demands which would have been arisen would be due to some order which would have a help of an order or something. So what I would suggest is that, yes, we have an issue with the DCR demand from either sides. So if you have some specific cases of DCR demands where you're not having any record or you don't have any kind of this one, you please share it with us. We will be able to try to, our team will try to take into that account those things, and we will see that whatever what is the actual reason for the demand will be communicated, and how to go about reducing or resolving the demand will also be communicated. We'll try to ensure that whatever the PANs which you share where you have the demands but you don't know the reason, you please share it with us. We'll try to attempt and see that it gets resolved in a very legal and transparent manner.
So when you say share it with us, is there a portal or a specific mail ID where this has to be sent out to you, or how should
Yeah,
it be?
we have our demand management email ID is there, which I will share it with you. So you please tax demand at demand management. I'll share the email with you. So you please share it with that email. We'll be able to take it up and do it.
So it's taxdemand@cpc.incometax.gov.in, if I'm right.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. Along with the phone numbers,
Thank you.
I'll share the entire email and details with you. So that you'll be able, if you can send us whatever the PANs for which you have the demand, but you don't know the reason, you please send it. We will try to resolve those demands also.
Thank you, sir. Very grateful of you. Second, the assessing officers attribute the delay in updation or correction of demands to the approval pending at CPC's end. Now, this is a frequent response that we get from the assessing officer when we go to them for any kind of a challan correction or demand correction. Of course, we don't know the internal protocols followed between CPC and the AO, but this is a frequent response that we get, that matters
Yeah,
are pending with CPC, not with them.
no, again, as you said, rightly said, it's an internal protocol. So what I will do is, again, if you have any issues where the demand is not getting corrected or challan is not getting corrected, you please intimate us. We will take it up with the AOs. Because see, I'll tell you, for all these reasons, only the demand management has been set up. Because right now what is happening is either the taxpayer doesn't have one place to go and vent out his grievance. He has multiple channels, so he has to go to the AO or he has to come to CPC. And again, now with the faceless and jurisdictional AO's confusion, many people don't know who is their actual assessing officer also. So there's a lot of confusion, which we agree, which we understand. So that is the reason why we are saying any kind of an issue which is pertaining to any kind of a demand, you please feel free to get in touch with us. We are there to help you out on that part.
Selection of wrong particulars of challan is leading to demand. The same is not being rectified by the AO despite repeated reminders. I think this is the most common query that we've got across all platforms on the
Yeah.
Google Docs in today's session. It's
No,
very.
in fact, I got the question. So this is the thing. If you had seen the PowerPoint, my presentation, there I had said that challan correction was one of the major issues on which we had done the resolutions. So again, I would request you please come back to us with your with the PAN and the assessment year details, where the challan needs to be corrected, what kind. We'll ensure that our team will get in touch with the AO and sit on the AO's head to get the things done.
So here, with regards to challan correction, we see two categories of errors. One is a typographical error on the part of the SSC in feeding the challan details in the ITR. So that, of course, there is a rectification facility available, which most of us are aware of. The taxpayer can log in and rectify his tax paid details, and that should surely handle it. But another common, second category, again, a common category of challan related issue is selection of wrong assessment year. It's very common among people to select the wrong assessment year. So I'm filing return for 21-22 financial year. I end up filing the challan for assessment year 21-22, which results in a mismatch and creates a demand. Now, how should this be addressed?
But AO is empowered to change the assessment year also. So it is not an issue. So if you have got the relevant details, see beyond a point, if see sometimes what happens, the AO is also maybe handicapped because he may not have the rectification rights with him. The rectification rights may be with the CPC. So in that case scenario also, there are certain times when the AO is not able to help much. So if that is the case, you can please request the AO, or AO can request to the CPC. CPC will, once the AO requests for a rectification rights transfer, CPC's responsibility or duty is to give it within 48 hours. So we will ensure that the rectification rights is given to the AO, and AO can change those challan, whatever he has to correct. And any assessment here is something which he is allowed to change, so he will be able to change it.
There was a small suggestion here from Team KSC on this aspect, sir. If this challan correction process can be brought online in a much simplified, in a structured manner, so that the AO or the taxpayer does not have to approach the AO for this correction, or alternatively maybe take a cue from CPC Ghaziabad. For TDS challans, tolerance of 1 year in terms of assessment year mistake is allowed.
No. I agree. Because the concept of CPC of Ghaziabad, I mean this one, and TDS and CPC ITR will vary a lot, because here we are much more restricted with the Income Tax Act and the rules than the CPC TDS, because 37BA is there, and there are other rules and other acts which will not allow me to give you credit for which year which you are not claiming for. So there are a host of other things which will, and again, one thing which all of us have to understand is that we are working in an automated environment. So I will not be able to interfere with the way the machine reads the entire thing. Machine will read it as it knows to read it. It doesn't interpret anything else. It doesn't think, okay, the taxpayer may have made a genuine mistake, so I should be able to allow it. It doesn't know. So whatever is being fed is what the machine will read. And once it reads, the rules have been made it in such a way that for a 21-22, if the assessee has claimed a 2021, he will not get a credit. Right. So that's the way it is there. So I'm saying, yes, challan correction, I mean, it's a very human thing to do these mistakes, because most of us are confused with assessment year and financial year. All of us, especially people who are not acquainted with income tax, will always have this issue. We totally understand. So please bring it to us. We'll ensure that the AO, we will put pressure on the AO to see that he gets the challan corrected.
Point taken, sir. Fourth query, the demands being sent by mails and referred to by the department on call are not reflected under the response to outstanding demand section on the IT portal. In such cases, the assessee is unable to even submit as a response.
No, this should not happen. Maybe a case-specific issue which whoever has given this question, it may have happened in 1 or 2 cases where because of some technical glitches or something. So I would request, because otherwise, the source for demand management is the FAS. That is a financial accounting system of the CPC. So whatever demands which I am getting it from the mother. So mother table. So mother, if whatever is there in the mother table is coming to the demand facilitation management at Mysuru. So if I am sending you a demand that there is a demand for you, and somehow not hearing for you to respond, there may be a technical issue, a feed issue or an inwarding feed issue or something of that sort. So here I would request you to please ask the person concerned to send me the PAN and the assessment here. We'll be able to resolve it.
We had some audio disturbance at your end. If I may summarize your answer, please let me know if I've gone wrong in understanding you. So your response is that there is one single mother data source, and the mails as well as the outstanding demand section is pulling data from the same source, and typically there should not be any variance. If it is, it should be one-off scenario which should be brought to your notice. We've heard you right?
Exactly. Perfect.
In many cases, wherever jurisdictional AO passed an order of rectification, the CPC is not aware of the same, and the demand does not go out of the system, and subsequent refunds are adjusted. We've seen this pretty often, sir, in our practice. That I have
I understand it may happen, because see, what happens is the AO is working on a different IT system and CPC is on a different IT system. So ITBA and CPC, both of them have to be in sync at all times. But sometimes what happens, the API which is there between CPC and ITBA, sometimes there may be a glitch and there may be an inwarding feed issue, or I would not have received what ITBA has sent, or what ITBA has sent would have got stuck within ITBA, and ITBA would have thought that it has already reached me. So there is a possibility of this happening. I am not denying this part at all. But what I am asking is, this is not a general phenomenon. So if there is a such cases, you please inform us. Either you can raise a grievance and share the grievance details with us. We will be able to then use that grievance and see that this issue gets resolved. Was I audible?
We heard you right, sir. So it is a one-off scenario again, and it is because of a system syncing error between the ITBA portal and CPC portal. And all such instances have to be brought to your notice.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir. You are audible. I'll read out the query number 6, sir.
Hello.
So we can hear you. Are you there, sir?
I think Gurus have got some network issue. Probably he might to rejoin.
Probably logging out and logging in might help.
Yeah, that's what he might be doing that.
I think he just logged out. I think he disconnected. He'll come back. Members will have to wait for some time. I think he's joining back. I just spoke to him, Deepak. He is joining in a minute. Members, until he joins, I also want to intervene and talk a few things about the association and its programs. You all know this is an organization which is a 65 years old organization, the second largest organization, professional organization in the country. And for those who have not become the members, the association has, the membership is always open, and it is just a click away. You can always visit www.kscaa.com and become the member of this old association. We are actively involved in writing representations. So those of you who have any concerns would always want to bring it and raise, you can always write to our representation or the president's site. We will take it up. I think Guru sir has joined. Sir, you're there?
Yeah. Sorry, I had just had some technical issues.
Okay, no issues, sir. Okay, members, we'll continue with the topic.
So we were at question 6.
Okay.
So the order giving effect nullifying the demand has not been passed pursuant to the settlement and the direct tax Vivad Se Vishwas Act 2020.
Yeah, see, I'll do one thing. See, wherever there is a dependency on the AO, okay, so those are the cases where you need demand management.
Okay.
So wherever the AO has not done what he is supposed to do and there is some delay on his part, you please, that is the reason why specifically the demand management has been set up, so that we can bring him to do the job which he is supposed to do. So on all these aspects where there is a dependency of the AO, you please ensure that, you please get this consult that demand management will be there to take up the job, to make the AO to do that job.
You get your point, sir. So question 7 and 8 are also AO dependent, but I'll just read out them for your confirmation.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Order giving effect has not been passed pursuant to a favorable order of the appellate authority, and the demand is still reflecting on the portal. So again, we can always get back to you on this.
Yeah, to us, we will ensure that passes the OGE.
Now, in few cases, the order giving effect has been passed and the demand has been deleted, but then the CPC computes automatically interest on the earlier outstanding demand, and the interest is shown as an outstanding demand now. How should this be addressed?
This may have happened in some specific scenarios, so which we have already fixed it. So even after now, if you are getting that kind of a problem, please flag us. We had this issue. I'm not denying that before. We had that issue where the demand, interest was getting calculated in certain scenarios, not in all scenarios. So that has been now fixed. So you please, if you have any such cases, you please highlight it to us. We will try to close that.
Lot of individual SSCs are receiving demands for mismatch in 234C interest computation for assessment year 22-23. In our view, 234C interest is correct and the SSC is not liable to pay the differential amount. How should this be addressed?
See, this is a tricky issue because we have to go case by case basis only, because 234C is always an issue as far as the calculation and the way it is calculated is also concerned. So we have to go case by case in this. I cannot propose or suggest any solution for this particular thing. So but if you feel 234C, yeah, please.
Should I be approaching the jurisdictional assessing officer, or should I go to CPC, or should I come to the demand management center?
No, you please approach the jurisdictional assessing officer. He is the first person. Okay, if it is an older case, or you can raise a grievance and mark that grievance to demand management. Will be able to, because why I am asking to raise a grievance is that grievance is centrally monitored also. So it may not be only pertaining to a demand, but it can be pertaining to a host of other issues also. But demand management exclusively looks at only the demand part. So if it has got some other issues where because of which the 234C has been calculated, so it will require the processing units also to come into play. So that is why I am requesting that you please raise a ticket to CPC, and you can share that ticket to CPC. I mean, to demand management, we will be able to pursue them.
The rectification request that is available pursuant to receipt of intimation under 143(1) is not yielding any favorable outcome, although there are mistakes apparent from records. I think the biggest issue here is when we log into the portal and file a request for rectification of a 143.1 intimation is that we are not in a position to express what mistake needs to be rectified. We just have a drop down to say reprocess or a limited set of options available to us. Maybe a descriptive text box allowing the taxpayers and
No,
professionals.
yeah, we actually tried with the descriptive text box, Deepak, but what has happened is that you know how we all love to express ourselves. So when we give a descriptive text box, I mean, and again, CPC doesn't have the kind of manpower where I'm able to read 3 pages or 4 pages kind of a thing, because machine doesn't understand all those things. And since there is no manual intervention, so I am saying where you feel that the text boxes is not making justice to you, you please ask the AO to ask for the rectification rights. We will transfer it to him, so he'll be able to make the rectification better.
As assessee, can I request CPC to transfer my file to the AO?
No,
Would that
you
option ever
can't.
be made available? So I
No,
have
no,
to
no,
make it
that I
from the AO.
no, that you have to request, make the request to the AO, and AO has to make the request. Once the AO request, maximum 48 hours will transfer the rights.
Right. And the request to the AO has to go physically. There's no online way of requesting to the AO.
No, you know your AO, so you can always ask them orally also. Sir, you please request them. They will give you the thing. You can do it here. You can tell them that why we are not able to go online, because our whatever the problem is there is not there in the text box.
Point taken, sir. Huge pendency of rectification applications filed before the assessing officers. The applications are not being cleared within the time allowed under the provisions of the Act.
I agree. There may be because they also have some systemic issues. They'll also have some statutes. So again, as I said, this is the place where management can make this later role. We can sit and persuade the AO to do the rectification as early as he can do within the constraints which are there.
The previous reply to the outstanding demand as submitted to the IT portal is not considered, and I'm still getting reminder calls and mails.
No, see, again, I didn't understand the question completely, because if the previous reply, if you have said that you are disagreeing with the demand, okay. So in that context, I may be calling you basically to know why you are disagreeing, what is the evidences for you to give me the So in that connection, I'll be making the calls. I'll not be making the calls for the original response as such. So
It's a
whenever
resolution.
you have it's a follow-up kind of a call where I have to know more details, or I need more information from the taxpayer or the chartered accountant. That is when we make these calls.
So it's a resolution process and not a recovery process.
Not a recovery
Need to
process.
cooperate on the
Exactly.
call.
Yeah.
Point taken, sir.
Yeah.
Responses to the outstanding demand as submitted in the old IT portal are not appearing on the new portal.
See, there may be instances of this happening as we have not completed the migration. So migration is under process. So I think maybe in a short period of time, this will be completed. Then I think this problem will not be arising, because we are closing down the old portal after some time. There'll be only one portal for all of us.
So as a prudent measure, am I required to resubmit my response on the new portal also, although I've submitted my response in the old portal?
Better.
Better. Right. There's an outstanding tax demand for assessment year 2002-2003. I have a tax challan with the bank seal on it, but the bank seal does not mention the BSR code and the challan details. Now, how should
You please
this
share.
kind
You please share it with us. We'll try to see what we can do. You please share that with us.
so scan of it can be mailed along with the
Yeah, please. Yeah.
case details?
Yeah.
Benefit of foreign tax credit is not being given while processing the return, though Form 67 and the return has been filed as per the provisions of the Act. In denying such benefit, no reason is given in the intimation or the rectification order.
No, usually will not happen, because previously we used to have little bit of rule issue with the foreign tax credits that has been set right now. So now it is working very well. So there is no issue. If you guys have any issues even today, you please bring it to our notice. And if there are any other old cases which has not been rectified or resolved till date, you please bring it to us also. That also we'll try to resolve it.
TDS deductor has not paid the TDS, but the department is demanding the same from the deductee instead of the deductor. Now, in
I
light
know
of
only the deductee.
no, but then section
I
205.
see. The deductee is my client. Deductor, I can't because see, uh, basically it's the assessee in default is what is we work on. So I know it's a policy decision, so it will be difficult for me to comment on that.
But then, sir, section 205 of the Act creates a clear bar against the direct demand against the deductee. It is the deductor from whom the demand has to be recovered. It cannot be from the deductee. That's the clear, plain interpretation of 205.
No, see, I'm again, let's not get into the interpretation part now because it's quite dicey. It's either side of the thing because we go on the work like, see, basically, if the TDS has not been deducted, it is the assessee is in default. It is not the deductor. Even if it has been deducted and the deductor has not paid, there have been certain instances, as you know, about the Kingfisher Airlines case where we have department has considered that as a special provision has been done. So if you have such cases, you can make that representation to the relevant authorities for those kind of support in that.
So, what should be the assessee's approach? He should be approaching his jurisdictional officer or the
He
TDS.
has to approach his jurisdictional officer and show that the TDS has been done. Afterwards, let's see how it goes further.
Okay. How to approach National Faceless Assessment Center for early disposal of appeal, where replies have been filed long back. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I mean, this is not something which I can comment on. But NEFAC has its own email and other things, so you may be able to. Anyhow, you have the CC, principal CC of NEFAC. Everybody is there who has been listed, so you can reach out to any of these higher authorities for any grievance which you have.
The assessment orders passed under faceless regime are without giving credit for TDI, self-assessment tax, etc. In most cases, the benefit of brought forward loss has also not been allowed.
No, this will be because basically all the scrutiny cases goes through CPC only. So in CPC, it won't be the case where I don't give credit to TDS or whatever prepaid taxes been paid. So this cannot happen. So if it has happened, you please bring it to our notice. Because all assessments which are there, which are happening in all over India, goes through CPC for accounting purposes.
Grievances sent on email IDs. There's one orm@cpc.incometax.gov.in.
No, I think you have to update your email IDs. We'll share it with you, the actual email IDs, which are grievance email IDs, which are there. So we have a very robust ticketing system. So as soon as any email, any grievance comes to us, we reply it with a ticket number, and that ticket number will be monitored by all the relevant authorities up to the DIT CPC on a regular basis. So each grievance has got a time period within which we have to resolve it. So all those things are monitored on a regular basis. So what you are sending, that ORM, is basically something which is there in Delhi. It is not something. Help desk is there. Help desk, it should happen. It should not be there. There is a ticketing system also. So if somebody is not receiving, even if after filing a grievance, if they don't have received an acknowledgement, that's a big no. That cannot happen. So if you have that, please let me know. And after the program, I'll share you not only our demand management's email ID and this one, the regular grievances ID through which you can come to CPC. That also I'll share it with you.
If I may suggest and request, sir, the email ID may also be put up on the contact us tab of the income tax portal, because these email IDs I pulled out from the contact us tab of the income tax website itself.
Mm-hmm. Is it not on this one? Contact us in the portal.
No, this is what I found on the income tax website, sir, and this I have collated
this
today
help
morning.
desk is there in our this one. So help desk, if you put it, it will directly come to CPC. That is the only thing. Anyhow, I'll just check it up and come back to you on that.
Refunds are being adjusted even after objections are communicated on receipt of notice under 245. In most cases, adjustments are made even though tax outstanding for each of the assessment years have been paid and the payment appears in the Form 26As.
See, this may be an isolated case here and there. It cannot be a general case. So if, again, as I said in the earlier case where the demands are being paid but still appearing in the portal, so those kind of any feed issues or anything, any technical issues because of which we would have not, see, there are sometimes when there are a lot of instances when TDS credits flow from TDS CPC to TDS ITR. There are instances where one or two packets gets dropped off and I don't get the full credit. But after some time we rerun it and we again get the credit again after some days. Then we do a suo motu rectification and try to what you call set right whatever has been wronged in the first place. So usually if there is a credit which is there in 26AS but CPC has not given it, that will be rectified as soon as possible, as soon as we receive the remaining credit from TDS CPC. So if it has taken longer time and still not rectified, please intimate us those with the PANs and the assessment years. We'll be able to do it.
We lost your audio, sir.
No, now can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, yes, sir, better,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Do you want me to repeat the answer or was it audible?
It was audible, sir.
Okay.
What should we do when the authorities do not seem to read our response to the demand? Are there any timelines before which the authorities are required to respond to our online requests? Is there any internal protocol wherein a grievance or a query
No,
put in on the
for all grievances, we have timelines which we have to adhere. For CP grams, it is monitored from the PMO's office. For e-Nivaran, it is directly monitored from the board level. So all things have see one thing which I'll see, but I am not going to say that we have adhered to the timeline at every point of instance. See, there are sometimes certain things what happens because of some rule issue. Some grievances could not be resolved, and again fixing a rule issue takes a longer time because the development has to happen. After the development, there is to be an SIT has to happen, then a user acceptance testing has to happen, then I have to deploy it in production, and after deploying in production also sometimes it may not work the way I want it to work. So what happens is this causes some 3 to 5 months of delay sometimes, basically because of these rule issues. And it would not be one demand or one PAN which would have got stuck. The PAN having the same kind of scenarios would have all got stuck because of this. So apart from this, we usually try to what we call close all demands, all grievances within the timelines which has been stipulated by the government and the CBDT at all levels. So, and again, grievances is taken very seriously in CPC. In fact, we have one grievance unit which is headed by an additional commissioner, and it has got almost around 4 AC and DCs who work and 6 to 8 ATOs working on a day-to-day basis. You won't believe in CPC, we receive almost around 30,000 e-Nivarants, 4,000 to 3,000 to 2,500 CP grams on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not even counting the mails which we receive. But again, all these things are addressed as seriously as possible and as a final resolution. We usually don't believe in interim responses also. So we want to resolve it. But again, sometimes what happened, as I explained to you, because some rules don't get fixed as quickly as we want it to be, because of which a category of grievances get stuck. So there, I would request all of you to bear with us a little bit.
On these matters, sir, where you've just given us an example of resolutions taking 5 months, 6 months to get sorted. If there could be some interim response to say that yes, this is what is happening in the back end, then there is some certainty in the minds of the taxpayer. Otherwise,
I tell you, Deepak, what has happened is, see, we have tried everything. See, when we send an interim response, we get a sort of a different kind of a feedback from certain section of taxpayers. See, what happens is we are catering to 7 crore taxpayers. So I sometimes don't know how to react to 7 different crores of minds working together. What would be acceptable to Deepak may not be acceptable to Pramod. And what is acceptable to both of you will not be acceptable to Guruprasad. So this is the problem or the quandary which we are in. So somewhere what happens, see, automated environment, I mean, like, again, we at CPC, our only, this one is at every point we try to think, if I am the taxpayer, how would I be reacting? On that basis only, all kinds of solutions, all kinds of processes are being set. But sometimes what happens, the intentions and the implementations don't match. The intent. So only thing which I would assure all of you is that the intentions are in the right place. Implementations, we seek your patience.
Point taken, sir. The scale at which CPC operates,
Yeah.
we understand that standardizing responses for all categories, all scenarios is a challenge.
No, again, I'll give you a small example. When we look into, we have something called an operations meetings every Monday. When we look into it, the statistics is given is that in ITR 4, 99% of the cases have been processed. But again, when you take 1% of 7 crore, it's a huge number. So that is a thing which we are grappling with. So, and again, with these systemic constraints and other constraints, it becomes very difficult for us to frame out what exactly we have to do. Sometimes we have, so that is why we go into this trial and error. We have given interim responses, we have withdrawn the interim responses. Now again, we are thinking of giving an interim response. So this is something which we also learn along the way.
We have not received any intimation earlier and receiving only demand notice, which relates to demand of more than 10 years. So I don't have any records for that. I think a similar question was there at the beginning of.
Please share it with us. I mean, like, it becomes difficult to answer on this basis. You please share it with us. We'll definitely try to see what is the issue in this.
Earlier assessment year 21-22, tax demand was paid. However, in later assessment year 22-23, refund was processed after adjusting earlier demand, even though paid.
This should not happen. I mean, please, this should not happen. Again, I'm telling you, there may be an issue where it's a technical issue, it's a case specific issue. So you please share it with us. We'll try to resolve this so that, and we'll also see what has to be done to get the refund back with a full refund.
With regards to payment of agreed tax demands, if you could throw some light to the members here, should it always be paid under the category tax on regular assessment, or paying it under self-assessment tax bucket is also okay?
No, it is basically, it has to be 400. It is on tax on regular assessment.
If
That is
accidentally,
where, see, that is the way, that is the problem, because what happens is, if you do a self-assessment tax, the system will check the date and it will check the date of filing of return and when this challan's date. So if it is not matching, it will not take it as a self-assessment tax.
so tax paid under 300 will not be taken as
Yeah,
a knockoff of the demand.
so it has to be taxed on regular assessment. 400 only is the thing which you have to pay when you are paying it in response to a demand notice or anything of that sort. So if you are paying along with the return of income, if you are paying that, you have to pay it under tax under self-assessment. So that is the reason. And so wherever, whoever has made this mistake, this can be corrected by the AO, but again, it will lead to delay. That's all I'm saying. So when you are filling the form, if you are able to click the right one, most of these issues get sorted out.
So accidentally, if members, any of you selected 300 for payment of tax demand, then you'll have to approach the AO, get it rectified to bucket 400, and then the demand should move out of the system. I received an outstanding demand payment for assessment year 8-9. In this context, I have submitted all the required details about the payment. I have sent a couple of follow-up emails to the AO with details to close the demand, but don't see nothing happening.
I submitted all the required details about the payment tax and the follow-up emails to AO. The notice was received from the AO or from our team?
I'm not sure. So this is something which has come up now.
Okay. Okay,
I may
you
request
just
that.
park it, Deepak. If you have the details, you share it to me. I'll get back to you.
Sure. Disagree demand response with clear case detail is not getting any response at all. Multiple postings of the message in the outstanding demand tab is not resulting in any result.
No, if you have to disagree, you also have to tell why you are disagreeing within that portal also, and you have to upload whatever. If you have already, let us assume you have already paid that particular demand, so then you have to upload the challan, and you also have to fill the challan details, everything in the portal. Then only the disagree will be considered. So if you just say disagree and leave it blank, it will not be considered by us.
I think the concern here is that from my end, I have done all of it what is to me right in my mind. I have disagreed, I've given the details that I believe should be given, but I still see the demand outstanding. So that anxiousness and that uncertainty is there as to what next, which is where we've been requesting that if there can be a
Yeah, I
response.
see. Okay, we'll try to see what we can, how we can assuage the feelings, anxiety at least on that part. What we can do, we'll try to look into it, Deepak. And I once we have decided, I'll let you know what we have planned on that.
Because in practice, we've seen a lot of the cases where the response has been filed, the demand disappears from the system, but then in a lot other cases, the demand continues on the system, and then we are not sure as to why it is still not moving out of the system, what wrong or what more detail has to be given from our end. So that anxiety, that
Yeah,
uncertainty is
yeah, I understand that concern. We'll try to address that concern.
What should we do when the authorities do not seem to read a response to the demand? Are there any timelines before which the authorities are required to respond to our online request? I think this is a repeat of a question that we have seen earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, the interactive details on the demand management cell with the SSC, CAs, AO, CPC, and tax deductor should be posted on the portal as a matter of record so that there is no repetition of explanations. To fix the responsibility, to draw the timelines, the SSC should be clear of his liability with the interest. The rights of SSCs are addressed. The action plan of the department or AO will be clearly on the portal. I think the summary of what the querist is trying to say here
No,
is
no,
follow.
I'll answer this. This is a very important question. I would only say that this has already been planned and this already will come. Only thing is the development is taking place. So what we are going to do is that whatever conversations which is like the demand management team called you on 20th October at 4 o'clock for this reason, for this demand, and this is the response, this is what happened. All this will be available to the taxpayer once he logs into the portal. So that has already been planned. Only thing is now, because we don't want to wait till all the development takes place to start the project. So we have started the project, but this is a very relevant question and this has already been planned by us. So this on the FO portal, it will be readily available to the taxpayer about all of his interactions with the demand management team of myself.
In few instances, earlier income tax demand intimation is not available for download on the income tax portal. So we see a link.
Yeah, there are certain assessment years for which the intimation is still not available. We are working on that. We'll come back when this will be made available very shortly.
There is no feedback from the AO, CPC or demand management cell for the comments posted by the SSC or CA. Please make such a feedback or response made available in a time-bound manner.
Now, where has the comment been made, and I mean, like
either by way of a grievance or by way of email to the CPC
no,
or the AO.
if it has been usually all the mails are replied and all the things are taken to its logical conclusion. If there is any specific mail which we have not answered or anything, please you can just let us know the ticket number or the grievance number. We will be able to address it immediately.
Does responding to online queries mean responding adequately, or should we also write a mail to the tax department tax demand mail ID?
No. Online queries, you please, if you can respond to it within the options which has been given to you, and that is sufficient for us. But if you want to say something which is not there, and because of which the demand or the refund is held up, then as I requested, you can talk to the concerned assessing officer and then get the rights and get it done from here. Because online queries beyond a point, I can't give space, because we keep updating this online drop down box also. So we keep analyzing the various replies which we get or various replies which we have not got. And so if we feel that there are certain responses which we need to add to the drop down box, we keep adding it on a regular basis, so that people don't have to go or rely on free text.
Again, a question pertaining to 234B and C interest calculation. CPC is calculating 234B and C interest wrongly, especially in cases where business is newly set up during the year and in cases of capital gain incomes after March 15th.
No, if you have, if you feel that so, you please share it with us. We will also examine, because we don't want to say that we are accurate or we are correct all the time. According to us, we are doing it correctly. But if you feel that there are instances or there are specific scenarios in which we are not calculating correctly, you please point it out to us with the relevant documents and evidences. We'll definitely be able to take it to account.
Wherever the demands are protested in an appeal, the demand is reflected in 100% instead of 20% as the case may be. Even the refunds are adjusted for the entire demand, even though it is in appeal and the matter is responded in the portal.
No, I think this is a misunderstanding between the way the AOs respond, because CPC doesn't have any role in this. So whenever the particular case is in appeal, it is the responsibility of the AO to mention it in the demand portal, like how much is it collectible and how much has been stayed or whatever is there. So sometimes what happens, there are around 18 to 19 top 19 items in the drop down box. Sometimes the AO may choose a wrong drop down item, which leads to this confusion. So that is why I'm saying, when you have this kind of cases, you come back to us, we'll be able to talk to the AO and see that this gets reversed, and we'll also be able to reduce the demand. And if by chance any refund has already been adjusted, for that also we can ask the AO to make the rectification order and then release the remaining excess refund which has been adjusted.
So the process is, if I am not happy with an order, file an appeal, approach the AO for a stay of demand in excess of 20%, pay the 20%, and the AO has to upload it from his end in the ITBA portal.
No, what happens is, if from a demand management or anywhere, if I have a particular case where where the assessee is in appeal for that particular case, and he has already made the payment of 20%, and there is a refund in that particular case for the current year, and the appeal is on the earlier year. So I would have sent a 245 notice to the AO saying that this is the refund which is there. I am seeing a demand of 100 rupees and I have a refund of 200 rupees. So I will be adjusting this 100 rupees with the 200 rupees refund. So it is the job of the AO to upload it on the thing, saying that out of this 100 rupees, the entire 100 rupees is an appeal. In that, 20 rupees he has already paid. 100 rupees, 80 rupees has been stayed by the relevant authorities, and that is not collectible. He has to make it as not collectible. So now what is happening is, sometimes the AOs in their hurry, they say it is not recoverable. So when they say it is not recoverable, I have a refund with me right now. So how is it not recoverable?
Okay, so it is the wrong selection
of
wrong
selection of it which leads to. So again, so that is the thing. So if you guys come back to us, then we'll be able to talk to the AOs and say to make the changes, and then again pass a rectification, and then resolve the issue.
If I may request, yes, sir, because this is a common issue faced by most offices. The AOs can be sensitized on the correct drop down.
So we are sensitizing the AOs. See what is happening, what the issue which was there before, it has reduced now. So AOs are also getting sensitized. So, but again, now there may be some new recruits or some new persons. So there will be some challenges here and there, but we are trying to sensitize the AO as much as possible. In fact, CPC, whenever we do any workshop with the AOs, this is one of the items on which we spend a maximum time on.
Or alternatively, in this communication loop between the CPC and the AO, if the assessee can also be brought in, so that he'll have a say before the adjustment is done. Probably
I don't
he
know.
can highlight and point out that this is an appeal and
No,
this
no,
is.
I think this will get resolved very shortly, Deepak. So this, I think the AOs are more or less sensitized now. We have conducted enough number of workshops and WebExes on this thing with the AOs. So what the amount of this kind of issue which used to come before, we are not seeing that kind of a thing now. It has reduced drastically.
Okay. So we have a bunch of more questions which have come up in the Q&A box. With the permission, can I start reading them out? Sir? The relevant ones and the ones which are not
Yeah,
already answered. I'll
yeah,
just
please. Yeah.
give me a minute. I'll just scroll through it and see what is not a repeat. I'll just read out those. So there is one query by CA Pradeep Jogi. Demand is pending due to rectification not being processed by the jurisdictional AO. Is there any timeline for the AO to pass a rectification order?
Yeah, it's there in the act now, 3 months.
While filing rectification return for assessment year 21-22, we are getting an error. The error reads, something seems to have gone wrong while processing your request. Please try again. If the error persists, quote error number ITD EXEC 2002.
Okay, you can ask Mr. Pradeep to just send us these details. We'll try to see what exactly is the issue. If he has already contacted the customer care, he can send me the grievance number. We will be able to see what is the issue.
In some cases, 245 adjustment mail is sent and time of 30 days is given to respond. However, refund is adjusted for the demand proposed even before the expiry of 30 days.
So this cannot happen because 245 is a statutory requirement and we are very, very careful on all the statutory requirements. So if it has happened in any case, you please ask us. We will examine those cases.
This has certainly happened in my own office case, at least in 2 instances.
Okay, then you please mark it to us. See, only situation which it could have happened is that if the returns have been filed in such a way that the returns processing time barring is already approaching and I don't have 30 days to give you for a 245, it may be in such instances I may have shortened it basically because I don't have time to process it. Otherwise, in the regular flow of things, this will never happen.
Amount reflecting in 26 AS was not considered for assessment year 8, 9 and earlier years. The request was made in earlier portal. However, demand is reflecting again. We request you whether a 154 application will be allowed to the SSC.
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
The query here is there is a demand pertaining to assessment year 8, 9, for which in the earlier portal response was made, but in the new portal this is appearing once again. Now can I approach the assessing officer for a rectification of assessment year 8, 9? Will they entertain me?
Yeah, they have to. Oh, it beyond 6 years kind of a thing,
Beyond
right?
4 years, yes.
Okay.
But then in the earlier portal, this was a matter which was sorted and it is cropped up again in the new portal.
No, they don't have any fresh, in the latest orders within 4 years for that particular case. See, it is not from the year in which you go. You basically, it is the last order for that particular year. If any rectification or if any other order has been passed for that particular 2008-9, year in the recent past, he can definitely file a rectification. Otherwise, it will be difficult.
Agricultural income which is not credited to the P&L account, auditor has reported in Form 3CD while processing by the CPC, such income again added to total income. Please clarify in this regard. I think this has got to do with the reporting requirement of clause 16 of Form 3CD, wherein the CA is required to comment on whether there are any items of income not credited to the P&L account.
Yeah, see, that is what happens is that 143 1A rules have been written. So basically on the prima facie adjustment, so there's one of the criteria is that if the auditor has made some observation in the audit form and which is not reflected in the ITR, so that would have got triggered and that is the reason why we would have sent it. So if it is actually an agriculture income, you can come through a rectification and ensure that it gets resolved.
The point here is, sir, clause 16 requires me as an auditor to report not just items of business income not credited to the P&L account, but any other income as well is required to be reported in clause 16. So that any other item of income would have been offered to tax, say under the head house property or other sources. Say bank interest, it is not credited to the business P&L, but it is credited to the capital account of the proprietor. So that is offered to tax under income from other sources. But then when we get an information from
I got your point, but what happens is that the rules are written in such a way that it becomes difficult to this one. So this I'll try to give you a solution in of after this one, how we have to go about it. I'll be able to give you a solution after the session.
Sure, sir. This is already answered. CPC is answered. Return for assessed financial year 2021 is e-verified and acknowledgement is also reflecting in portal, but refund is not processed. If we raise grievance, they replied that return is invalid because of e-verification not done. This is from CA Kavita BN.
Which year was this?
This is financial year 2021. The return is e-verified, but the return is not processed, and the grievance team has responded by stating that the return is invalid.
If you can ask Ms. Kavita to submit the details along with the acknowledgement, we'll see what we can do.
Madam, you can pass it on to KSCAA. We'll compile all of these case-specific issues and we'll present it to sir, and we'll see what best can be done for the taxpayers. In case of salaried person, in one case, salaried person had joined a new company. He paid whatever advance tax before 15 March on new salary, but CPC has calculated 231C, making tax payable for whole year salary. I think this is again an interpretation issue on 234C interest computation. Yeah. Old erroneous demands for assessment year 3-4 and 8-9 has been finally accepted as erroneous by the AO, awaiting deletion of demand. However, amounts had been adjusted from the subsequent refunds. Will the adjusted amount be refunded automatically?
The AO has to pass a rectification.
Okay, so again I have to approach the jurisdictional assessing officer. I have one case where tax demand was removed after response, but after 3 years it is appearing again. How to act in these cases? This is something which we've seen quite often, sir. So in the old portal, a response was submitted and the response was accepted and the outstanding demand was out of the system. But in the new portal, it is cropped up again.
No, I think I am also seeing 1 or 2 cases like this. We are examining this issue. I'll come back to you once we find out what is the exact reason for this. I'll come. I also agree that I have found out some 2-3 cases where demand goes and then again reappears.
Okay, so this is what we had in the Q&A box. There are some questions in the chat box as well. An appeal was filed, ARN was generated, but the appeal form 35 is not available in e-proceeding. Appeal hearing notice is also not received.
You please send this question. I'll pass it on to my e-proceeding team and come back to you on this.
Assessee had filed original returns and by mistake keyed in TDS details under self-assessment tax. TDS details under self-assessment tax. Hence received the demand for assessment year 13-14. However, the assessee has filed rectification during November 15 beyond 2 years, including bank interest. I think this question requires a little more clarity. For agreements, we would like to thank you for giving your valuable time to us. As we ourselves find difficulty to complete the demand, we appreciate your step in bringing up friendly assessment and listening to agreements.
Oh, most welcome.
Siddesh sir, any queries that I missed out which have come to your notice? You may.
So I think with this we can conclude. If there are any questions which are unattended, we can always send a mail to info@KSCAA. We'll redirect it to the department. So with this, I think we can conclude.
Okay, so I'll do one thing. The contact details, I'll share it with Pramod. So from that, you will be able to send it to us, whatever is to be sent to us.
Grateful, sir.
Point taken, sir. With your permission, can we now transfer the proceedings to CA Siddesh for a vote of thanks, sir?
Yeah, please.
Or anything that you might want to add?
No, not from anything from my side. Only request is that this is something which we have done, which we have started in a novel way. So I seek your cooperation, support, and patience. Most importantly, patience. What we are facing, I'll tell you, is that 60% of my phone calls land on a chartered accountant's line, because most of you would have given your number as the contact person, and so in the bunch, what happens incidentally is that if there are some 10 cases, the 10 cases would belong to one same chartered accountant. And after that, what would happen that after each call, the same chartered accountant would be receiving the call on a different assist for different assistants. So this is something where I know it may be very irritating to answer so many calls in a single day. We are trying to find a solution for that, but also we would like to encourage you to make the assessee's number available to us so that the direct call goes to him. And for assistance, because in demand management, one thing is we have a four-way communication. So if required, I can be able to, if the taxpayer wants the assistance of the chart accountant on the call, I'll be able to take you on a call, and also I'll be able to take the AO also on the call. So four people will be able to communicate at the same time. So this is one thing. And again, it is not something which will happen overnight where you can ask the taxpayer's number to come. But till then, I request your patience so that we'll be disturbing you quite often. Thank you. Thank you for a patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Karnataka State Chartered Accountant Association, I would like to formally extend sincere gratitude to Income Tax Department, ably represented by our CIT CPC Shri Guruprasad B. We are very thankful to you, sir. Close to about 30 questions were listed in the Excel sheet, and 30 questions in the Q&A, 30 more questions in the chat box. We have, with a lot of patience, you have taken up all the questions. More importantly, sir, we would like to extend sincere gratitude. Within about 30 minutes of submission of this representation to CPC as well as CBDT, we got a call from our CIT, sir. And within about 30 days from submitting the representation, we are here conducting this webinar. It is very heartening to know that department is listening to assessees grievances, whatnot. So grateful to you, sir. Also acknowledging presence of Shri Bopana and the counterparts from CPC as well as Income Tax and Infosys. Thank you for patient listening. With this, we will conclude this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.